What are you trying to achieve in Framer that you haven't achieved just yet? Can you design your entire portfolio in Figma? Is that fine? Because if that's the case, then you're good. Framer is basically Figma with a different set of shortcuts. That's about it. You will notice when you're using Framer that it's the same interface. Things work the same way. If I'm on my website, that's new. Apparently, welcome to Framer tutorial templates. Start from Figma, import your site if you already have a site, and desktop app. Your Framer overall has page, layers, and assets. In Figma, you just have layers and assets, and pages are above. That's the difference compared to Figma. So your layer list is the same thing as you have in your layer list in Figma right here, like your pages as they are there. So you can like condense, whatever. It's here. Then on the top, you have some of the tools that are useful. On the top of Figma, you have some of the tools that are useful. On the right side, you have your inspector when you select something. On Figma, on the right side, when you select something, you have something that is called the inspector. You see how it's the same thing? In Figma, you have design and prototype. In Framer, it's design all the time, and then prototype is that play button at the top. That's about it. Like you have your prototype that is basically just a preview of your browser, and you can do shit in there, but that's the idea. And then one of the huge benefits of Framer is the fact that the main page that you design something on is gonna impact the rest already immediately. So technically, it's as if your first desktop size is going to be your main components, and then your breakpoints, because you create new breakpoints from here, are instances of your main component. So you just have to work in here and then adjust in other version of your website to ensure that the readability and the accessibility is good. So for example, for me, I have my stack of content and past work that are here. When I'm going into tablet, it's the same grid and the content is smaller. When I'm going into mobile, I can't really get the grid, so I'm getting like a full ass column of content, and that's about it. And that is done by changing the direction of my stack compared to the direction of my stack here. Like in each of my substack, they are all currently horizontal, and then in the mobile version, you can see that it's blue because it has changed. It's now vertical. So that basically it. That's the difference between like Framer and Figma. Then the other thing is, let's say you wanted to create a rectangle to add a rectangle somewhere, you will press R and then Framer will tell you use the frame tool to draw a rectangle. Okay, cool. So now you know that in Figma, if you want to create a rectangle, you press R and you create a rectangle. In Framer, if you want to create a rectangle, you press F, you get a rectangle. One of the huge benefits that you have also in Framer is the fact that you have predefined pages, predefined sections of websites that have been built and are here and really easy to add. You can drag and drop it to put it wherever you need it to be, and it's going to be added to your site. And now it's done. It's there. It's fine. Everything is good. That's pretty simple. So that's the insert section. You have a ton of shit in there to help you go faster. And then the really good thing, let's say this is your landing page layout thingy with all of the content that you needed to have, you get the Framer plugin, Figma to HTML with Framer. You click on it, it does its thing. It says, oh, I'm counting layers. This one is 408 layers. It's copied. And I can come back here and just paste. Like everything is here. I have my pictures, I have my layouts. The thing that are supposed to be stacks are stacks. The behavior for resizing are pretty good as a basic thing. But then the only thing that you need to do is ensure that the resizing works perfectly on all of your sizes. And that's about it. So the next step for you, once you have designed everything in Figma, is just you take that and you drop it inside of your main desktop thing that is going to be empty. And you're done. Just build your thing here. And then when you have something that is pretty good to you, or you feel like it's pretty okay to what you want to do, just copy and paste it inside of Framer and you would be good. Just know there are things that Framer and Figma cannot do. As in Figma, if I do a rectangle that has feel like that, for example, that is combined gradient with an overlapping whatever, like maybe it's another gradient, maybe it's not, like something that highlight my tops, whatever, and a stroke around my elements that is also going to be be, I don't know, let's say it's a linear gradient that goes from pure white at the top to pure black at the bottom. It's a thing of 8. This is massive. That is feasible in Figma. However, if I'm copying this inside of Framer right here, the border cannot have a gradient. That doesn't exist in Framer. So you will need to trick something in order to have that. And then my fill background, because it's a stack of multiple things, it just converted it into an image. But once you know that, you're good. That's pretty much it. Like every time you have more than one fill inside of your frame elements, it will have some issues. So if I redo the same thing here with one layer without the stacked elements, now I have a linear gradient because Framer recognized that this is a linear gradient and I can do linear gradients in Framer. So they are happy. Everyone is fine with this. It's just like a border. They don't like it. Need to find a way to change that. That's the main changes. That's the main things that are really different in between Figma and Framer. The rest behave kind of the same way. I would highly recommend you to not create your illustration in Framer. Use an SVG, upload the SVG, be good. That's the main differences in between Figma and Framer. They are basically the same. And as we've been saying, when Figma decide to give us like a code, no code export type of thing, you will not need to really learn Framer and other things. Yeah, you're probably ready to go. Just know that if, as I said, the shortcuts are going to be different. So if you want to do an auto layout frame in Figma, you're going to do Shift A to get your auto layout frame. In Framer, it's called a stack. In order to create a stack, you do Command Option Enter. Command Enter is to create a group div, and Command Option Enter or Control Alt Enter is going to give you a stack, like a layouted stack. When you do that, the space in between your elements that you had in the beginning is going to be fucked up. It's going to go from something you had defined to 10. That's about it. And then you just need to make sure that your content is going to start with a hug content. Your stack is reverting to fixed by default. But this is some of the things that I've been complaining about to Framer directly, and that might change soon, not soon, I don't know.